cowboys on the donkeys. We like them on the television. All them cowboys.
I'm wondering if that brought back any memories to any of you. I know I was waiting for my two younger brothers to rush onto one of those carts. Didn't see them there. And one thing that I laugh at every time I see that clip is the little lad who's in the cart and he's going like this with the steering wheel, and then it comes off in his hands because that would have been my brother Steve, because he broke everything. Told by memories, breaking it to repair it. So those are a couple of things that spoke to me. So if you want to add something, can you put your paddle or your whatever into the air, and then we'll ask you to speak. Jane.
Well, it was the donkeys. When I was about 14 or 15, we used to go down in our school summer holidays on the bus to Weston, and me and my friend, in our layers of sugared petticoats to make our dresses stick out. Used to put them in sugar water so that they were really, really stuck out. And if you wore stockings, not tights then, they got caught on the net. You always had lots of catches when you got home, or ladders. And we thought we were the bee's knees. I think my lips almost met my nose with the bright orange lipstick that I put on when I was out of sight of my mother. And I saved for weeks for a bucket bag, because that was all the thing. You had a bucket bag that you carried with great pride. Well, these two prima donnas got to the beach at Weston, and we got our deck chairs, and we had sandwiches in our bags and everything, and we sat there in the hope that maybe we might score, but I think anyone with any sense wouldn't have looked at us twice, because I'm sure there was a reminiscence of Piccadilly Lily about us. And we were sat there, and over just facing us was the donkey stand where they had their straw and everything. And there was the most beautiful baby donkey. He was absolutely gorgeous. Of course, everybody was oohing and ahhing about this baby donkey. And I got a bit distracted. And when I looked back, the baby donkey had taken a great interest in us. And he weed in my bucket bag all over my sandwiches. And we were the laughing stock of the beach, because everybody saw it happen. And I must admit, I wasn't quiet when I said, "Oh no, he's weeding my sandwiches," and everybody knew. And so this, what I thought was a very chic young lady, I had to go and empty out all my sandwiches, everything, and my bucket bag had to go in the bin. I was heartbroken, and I had to share my friend's sandwiches, and I felt really ashamed. And people were talking, and you could see them pointing and saying, "That donkey is just weeding her bag." And I should never forget that. It was brilliant. He was really cute as well, but I've never forgiven him. Never.
Thank you, Jane. Christine?
My big memory is I was slightly older. I was a child bride of 19. And apart from the young lad that have joined us, most people, everybody here will remember the bad winter of 62, 63, when I decided to get married, and it was in February. And we were supposed to be moving into our house for our honeymoon, because it was a new build. Obviously, the winter put paid to that, and it was delayed. So we were staying with my in-laws, and my father-in-law decided it would be nice, and he paid for us to go down to Weston just for the weekend for our honeymoon. It was so cold, the edge of the sea was actually frozen. And so every time I go to Weston, I think of that, how cold that winter was, really, really bitterly cold. But all the way along the shore, you could see the sea, and for salt, it had to be really cold for it to be like that, but it was really crunchy when we went up and touched it. So that's my memory of Weston.
Thank you very much, Christine. Anyone else? Okay, Carol.
Well, as a church, Jean and Steve will remember this, I expect. We used to go down to Weston one afternoon a year, and we used to play rounders on the beach, and then we used to go into Coffins for a fish and chip supper. And we all went in, and I didn't think he'd done anything wrong, bless him, but I was there with my mum and dad. I'd probably been late teens, early 20s then. And he had his fish and chips, and then he ordered golden syrup pudding, and he wanted extra golden syrup rather than custard, and he asked the waitress if he could have it, and then when it came up, it came with custard instead of golden syrup, so he mentioned it, and she got really nasty, and she threw us all out of Coffins.
On the church outing?
On a church outing. So the one and only place I've ever been thrown out of, his coffins at Weston-super-Mare, and it was my dad's fault.
Oh, that's good. And I'm sorry it was coffins, because that is the place that my mum and dad, or my mum, used to always take us and say, oh, you've got to get fish and chips in coffins.
Oh, it was the place, wasn't it, to go?
Sorry, Cara, go on.
It was definitely the place to go, wasn't it? If you went to,
It
you
was.
were nobody if you didn't have fish and chips in coffins.
Jane's nodding as well.
Yeah.
Anyone else got a memory? Susan first said it, then
Okay.
Gina.
No, as a church, because obviously I'm going back to pre-Lawrence Hill, I'm going back to Russelltown now, and Russelltown was just over the bridge from Lawrence Hill station. So for our Sunday school outings, we always used to go on the train from Lawrence Hill station, and as we'd be waiting on the platform at the station, they used to bring around a bun, an iced bun for everybody to eat on the train. So we'd have our bun, and then we get to Weston, and then we had that wonderful walk from the station down along the main road there, past the clock, with the flowers, wasn't it? The clock that used to the floral clock, and then round onto the beach, and then we always went to the marine lake and sat in a big circle at the marine lake, and all the kids played, and it was wonderful. And then of course you had to go on the pier, and I remember there. I think there was one I was about 13, I think, and 14, and my friend and I from church as well. We had a few pennies, and so we were on the pier, and we put our money in one of those grab things, that you'd have to guide it across. Anyway, we managed to win a packet of cigarettes, senior service cigarettes. Of course, we were horrified at what we were going to do with these cigarettes. So I think we got back eventually, and somebody else from the church said, well, I'll have those. So yeah, that's a good memory to have of Weston-super-Mare.
Thanks, Susan. Jean.
I was just going to add to what Carol said, because we were there that day, and we'd been there every year for a number of years, probably even before Carol, because she's that much younger than us. I started coming with us, and it was just that one day that I think that we were a bit noisy, but we weren't anything else, and but she wasn't very happy with us. We found another chip shop for future years, but also we always went on the Dodgems. And we took it over. There was enough of us to take the whole cars, and it was a nicer outing each year.
Thank you, Jean. And of course, the Dodgems, it would say you are not to bump, and then everybody bumped, didn't they? Yes, Pam.
Yes. I've gone to Weston since I was, born, I think. My mum and dad used to take me on the bus. But when we had a mums and toddler group at Hannam in the 70s, we used to have one day when we would all go on the bus first with our pushchairs and our babies and all the things, nappies and milk and everything else. And then on the train, and then we'd have to walk from the train to the front. We always had fish and chips, but it was fantastic. And we never went on the pier. But coming home on the train, on one occasion, they were absolutely awful, all the children. They were just hyped up so much. And there must have been 30 at least children of all different ages. And to keep them quiet, being the big teacher that I was, I said, okay, everybody who is quiet, I will treat them to a Mars bar at the end of the journey. Well, we didn't get another peep out of any of them, and I ended up having to buy all these Mars bars, and that has been the thing that for years since, whenever there's been any kind of an occasion, I've had to provide Mars bars. And then a quickie one, Don and I took our girls to Weston on that beautiful summer of 76, 77. And I'd made my girls new bikinis out of toweling, and Sally's was white and yellow. It looked absolutely beautiful. And we waited every day for the tide to come in because it was just so hot. Now, you probably guessed what I'm going to say. By the end of the week, the toweling bikini was absolutely awful. It was muddy brown, and I didn't bother to wash it. It went straight in the bin.
Oh, that's,
Thank you.
that's lovely, Pam. Thank you. And of course, the Mars bars every year, then it's kept you poor. Right. Was there anyone else then who wants to add something before Val? I can see one lady there. I asked her to say something and she said no, she wouldn't. She'll know who I'm meaning. We have a memory of years ago, and we had an American teacher here on an exchange, and we left school promptly one day and we took her to Cheddar for a cream tea. And then, greedy little pigs that we were, we left Cheddar and we went to Weston, and we took her for fish and chips as well. So, but if you go to Unity Film Club, you'll know her as Anne. Not wishing to embarrass her, but that was your story, Anne. Okay, Val.
For Richard and I, we don't come from this end of the southwest. We belong more to the south coast. And so I can't ever really remember coming up to Weston-super-Mare when we had places like Lyme Regis and Charmouth on our doorstep. And so I've got two memories of Lyme Regis to share with you. And Richard, with a bit of luck, is going to show you the pictures. So the first one is the cob at Lyme Regis. And where that man is stood with the brown top on and his jeans, just imagine Richard and I. It was the Christmas tradition in both of our homes is that on Boxing Day you go to Lyme Regis for a walk. And this particular year it was Richard and I who were going on our own, and we'd had a load of heavy rain. So to get to Lyme Regis alone was quite difficult because there was a lot of flood water all the way. Anyway, we got there and we parked the car and we decided to walk along the cob. And we stayed on the lower side because, as you can see, on the higher side, on the top edge, the waves were breaking over. And as we got to where that man is stood, in fact, behind him is the what they call Granny's Teeth. And as we got to that point, so a rogue wave came over from the other side of the cob and soaked us completely. We were absolutely soaked right through to our knickers. Our shoes were full of water. My handbag was full of water. It was just, we couldn't have been any wetter if we tried. We had to tip the water out of our everything. It was just, and we had to drive back home absolutely soaking because we had no spare clothes to change into. So we've quite often sort of been down at Lyme when it was rough, and you roughly know where to sort of walk because it's always the seventh wave that's the highest one, but that day we got absolutely caught. So that's my first memory to share with you. And then we've got another one. Now that's that's not going the cob side, that's sort of walking round towards Lyme and you go off to the cob. And the reason I'm sharing that one with you is that you have to remember, Richard and I, Pam said about the summer of '76, and that's when Richard and I got together. And so for a romantic date, he took me down to Lyme Regis one evening and we walked along the cob, and instead of going out to the end where we were just shown you, we went off to the left and in front of those buildings. Now the sun had set and the moon was coming up. Go back, Richard, back one. Ah, that's it. So we walked in front of those buildings, and just beyond there, you can we just found somewhere to sit. And from there, you can look back along across Lyme Regis itself. And so that's what we were sat doing. And I need to sort of tell you, to paint the picture a bit clearer, in that I'd lost my glasses, and that's how Richard was coming to take me, come to be going out with me. in that he was sorting out the insurance claim, but that's another story. So we were sat at the end of those buildings, just looking back into Lyme Regis, and I turned and looked to my right and said to Richard, being the romantic I am, "Oh, look, the moon's up, and isn't this just absolutely beautiful?" But actually, it wasn't the moon. Over on the very far right is a pole there, and that was the light. So there was no moon, it was the light at the end of that bit of the pier. So that's my other romantic memory of the seaside.
Well, thank you, Val, for those memories. And now I think if no one else wants to say anything, we will go and watch some Punch and Judy.
Oh, Mr. Punch, I've got a nice surprise for you. What is it? I've got you a nice string of sausages. You mean sausages? I know I mean sausages, but I can't say sausages, so we say sausages. Okay. What's the matter, boys and girls?
The baby's in the sausage machine.
The baby's in the sausage machine? Oh, no. Look at the poor little chipolata. Oh, Mr. Punch, there we go. What are we going to do? I don't care what you're going to do, but I'm going to get out of here before Mrs. Judy comes back. Bye-bye, boys and girls. Bye-bye. Okay. What have we done? What if we did? Now, Mr. Punch, I just popped the pickles in. Oh! Mr. Punch, where's our little baby gone? We don't know. Where's the baby gone, boys and girls?
In the sausage machine.
In the sausage machine? Oh, poor little chipolata. Oh, I'll have to fetch the doctor. Bye-bye, boys and girls. Bye-bye, Judy. Bye-bye. Okay. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? Oh, sausages for breakfast, sausages for tea. Oh, I know it's sausages. Sausages for breakfast, sausages for tea. What was it?
A crocodile.
Don't be silly. Oh, sausages for breakfast, sausages for tea. Oh, I know it's sausages. Sausages. What was it?
A crocodile.
Don't be silly. Oh, sausages for breakfast, sausages for tea. Oh, I know it's sausages. Oh, it's a pussycat. Pussycat. Woof. Mr. Punch, why don't you get your big stick? Good idea. 1, 2.
Well, the weather's on the change. I hope you don't get your sun hats wet. I've had to put my rain hat on. My mother had one of these in every handbag, I think. Got my plastic mat. Got my umbrella as well. But we're not going to get wet because we're on the way to the pier where we should be playing bingo, but we're going via the cinema where we're going to pick up a 1956 Pathé Muse. Hope you enjoy it.
With a head start over other countries so far as weather goes, Britain's umbrella makers stage their first ever fashion show in London and feature styles like this picture hat umbrella, which really are as right as rain. Called the Lady Hamilton, it's designed for rougher weather than a chenille-threaded Black Widow model. For this original style is more suitable for trapping escorts with large cars. It's useful too for keeping the flies away in summer. For those who like singing in the rain, there's a musical box umbrella with the music coming from a mechanism concealed in the guitar-shaped handle. It strikes a new note in umbrella fashions. If your clouds do have a silver lining, then this mink-trimmed gold lame model won't raise stormy issues. A matching muff is attached to the real enamel handle. But listen for thunder when you ask for a matching coat. Vanity on a dull day is served by this bright idea. The magnifying mirror is a shining example of the ingenuity displayed by all the 1,000 umbrellas in this show. This one too is practical as well as elegant. From cosh length, it telescopes out to make a full-sized fashionable umbrella in red and grey nylon. Whatever the weather forecast, Britain's umbrella manufacturers are certainly making the best of it with models like this one for our famous English Rose. With this, she can keep pretty dry. Finally, April showers neaten dampen wedding days with this model called April Bride overhead. No wonder women are saying, let it rain.
Right, hopefully you should all have a sheet for Seaside Bingo, which I hope you've all filled in. Yeah, some of you have by the looks of it. You should have taken 16 random words from it and put those in whichever box you like. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to just randomly pick the words and you just cross them off as you would with a normal bingo card. And what we're looking for is anyone who gets a line across, a line down, or a line diagonally. So you get 4 answers: across, down, or diagonally.
So the first word is crazy golf, and the second word is swimsuit, and the third word is bingo, and the fourth word is crabs. The fifth word is spade, and we can't have a spade without a bucket. And at the seaside we need a lifeguard, and you need, if you've got your chips, you need to make sure the seagulls are nowhere around. Weston is predominantly sand, but we're looking for pebbles. We were talking about coffins earlier, and a trip to the seaside wouldn't be complete without fish and chips. Being Weston, you definitely need a windbreak.
Yes.
Hooray!
Hooray!
Well done.
Got a diagonal.
You've got a diagonal.
Excellent.
Okay. We'll see if we can get a line. So that's Stephen. You definitely these days need to be very careful of the sun, and so you need your sun cream, because if you don't wear your sun cream, you're going to get sunburn. We've all got ours on today. A sun hat.
Yeah, Susan's got one.
What have you got, Susan?
A line down.
Whoa,
Excellent.
so we just want...
And what's Christine got?
Diagonal.
Oh,
Whoa.
excellent. Right, we're looking for a full house now then.
Oh, there aren't many at Weston-super-Mare. We're looking for rock pools. We started this afternoon showing these donkey rides. We've all tried wearing our sunglasses, but on a Zoom trip, they don't work. So
Top to bottom.
Oh,
a trip to the seaside wouldn't be complete without ice cream.
Oh, I've got a line going across now.
Whoa, we just need a full house now.
oh, Pam's got one, I think, by the looks of it.
I got another one across.
Oh, right.
Full house now.
Yeah.
There aren't many at Weston-super-Mare, I don't think, but there are definitely loads at Lyme, and we're looking for boats. A Lilo, I think you'd be hard pushed to use one at Weston-super-Mare. And something Richard loves to do, but not in the British waters, and that's snorkel. Again, something else on the food line, candy floss. And also a trip to Weston wouldn't be complete without a stick of rock. as Jane said, in her bucket bag, we have sandwiches. And I don't really remember seeing it at Weston, but it might be there. Seaweed, that tends to go with the rocks and things. You need something to sit on at Weston, so we need a deck chair. A trip to the seaside wouldn't be complete without a tub of cockles. If you were staying there longer than a day, you'd probably write a postcard.
Ooh, one left.
Susan was talking about the grabber thing at the amusements.
Yay!
Hooray!
Well done.
Oh, well
Well
done.
done, Susan.
We're just going to have the interval, which is, as I say, about 7.5 minutes long. So
7.5 minutes.
I've timed it.
Okay.
The bag.
Yeah. You should have also had the word game, which there was about, let's see, the 27, different names of things that you get at Seaside. I don't know whether anyone's had a look at that or not, but if you want to have a go over the interval after you've made your cup of tea or had your ice cream or whatever, we'll be back in about 7.5 minutes. Right, hopefully everyone has, oh yeah, some have got their ice creams. Some's got their tea. I'm not sure what William's got.
A stick of rock.
A stick of rock, excellent. Someone here has just been off for a quick dip in the sea.
Oh, wow.
Weston.
I think she's taking part in Miss Venus in the Tropicanas.
I was going to say it was in the Tropicana where she was. That's why her hair's not wet.
Yeah, I'll be taking it a step too far.
Oh, right.
Right. We obviously now want to judge the sun hats, etc.
I think the only one that's homemade is Richard, so I do think he should get a special reward. His is the only one that's homemade.
We had to struggle to find a hanky.
Doesn't work with a tissue, does it?
It doesn't, no, they kept ripping. Right, we'll carry on, and we're now going to have a quiz. So I hope you've all got your thinking hats on, and then I'll hand back over to Linda.
Okay, so these are people who have five of them have been born in Weston. So a comedian, and I can give you a clue. I can say Ministry of Silly Walks. I can say 40 Towers. That's an easy one. Number 2, an author. Now, this gentleman has spent time at Her Majesty's pleasure for perverting the course of justice, lying in a case in 1987. He almost bankrupted himself in a financial scandal, but he can write a good story. He was born in Weston. Number 3 was not born in Weston, but he was a man who made the first radio transmission from Weston. Well, from the islands in the bay at Weston. Number 4 is a lovely lady, a broadcaster, beautiful lady, excellent at her job. Sadly, she was murdered just the year before she was going to marry Alan Farthing. That would be a big clue for you. He is one of Her Majesty's team of gynecologists, and he was present at the birth of all 3 of William and Catherine's children. Number 4, an actor. Now, this man was born in Weston. He went to Wyvern Community School, and some of us here will remember that. He left school at the age of 15, and he went straight into the circus. Thankfully, he didn't spend the rest of his career in the circus. He's been in some films like The Madness of King George, A Room with a View. I think the most recent time he was on the television was just 2 weeks ago, when he was in that programme that was filmed in Bath, MacDonald and Dobbs, and he was one of the 4 murderers in that programme. And lastly, in this section, an HTV newsreader or presenter. He started writing as a journalist in the Western Mercury, moved to Radio Bristol, then got his plum job for HTV, was the sidekick to Bruce Hocking for many years until he was made redundant in 2007. Now writes for the Bath Museum. So the answers. Number 1 was John Cleese. Interestingly, his name would have been Cheese, but his father, when he went to enlist for the army for the First World War, he thought that was too embarrassing to be called John Cheese. So he enlisted as John Cleese. And then 1923, he changed the family name by deed poll. Number 2, of course, was Geoffrey Archer. Nothing else to say about Geoffrey Archer. Number 3, Marconi. Number 4, Jill Dando. Number 5, Rupert Graves. And number 6, Richard Wyatt. Okay, I can't see you all, so I won't ask how many got them all right. Next question are just 5 questions, true or false. Paddle steamers never stopped in Weston, true or false. Kitchener's Your Country Needs You poster was devised by a man educated at Weston College, true or false. The first radio transmission was made from Steepholm, true or false. Number 4, a 4-times Olympic gold medalist lived in Weston. Number 5, the Grand Pier was burned down in 2009, true or false. And number 6, Roald Dahl lived in Weston-super-Mare, true or false. And the answers: Birnbeck Pier was used for the paddle steamers, so false. They did stop at Birnbeck Pier, the White Funnel Fleet and P&A Campbell's, and the last excursion was in 1979. Number 2, Kitchener's Your Country Needs You poster was true. A long name, Alfred Ambrose Chew Leet, attended the School of Science and Art, which is now Weston College. He left in 1987 and became a commercial artist, and he did adverts for Bovril, Rowntree's, Guinness, illustrations for Tatler and Punch, but he did Kitchener's poster, Your Country Needs You, and some of his work you can see if it's a rainy day in Weston and you go to the Weston Museum, you may be able to pick up some of his work, have a look at some of his work. The first radio transmission, number 3, false. It was made from Flatholm, not Steepholm. Marconi made it, and he said the message was, "Are you ready?" And it went from Flatholm to just outside Cardiff, Livorno, and it was in 1897, just a year after he came over from Italy to London. Number 4, a 4-times gold medalist for the Olympics did live in Weston, true. Paul Radmilovich, his father came from Dubrovnik. He was a swimmer and he played water polo, and he won 4 medals in 3 consecutive games, 1908, 1912 and 1920. Bonus point if you know why they're consecutive games and there's not one in 1916. Obviously there wasn't one that year, but anyway, he won 4 gold medals and he held the record until Sir Steve Redgrave won 5 fairly recently. After he finished his Olympic career, he ran the Imperial Hotel in Weston, and there is a blue plaque apparently on the wall at the hotel. His nickname was Raddy, and I noticed in one of the pictures when we were putting all this together, there is a cafe in Weston called Raddy's, but I don't think that is anything to do with him. I think they're just using his name. His hotel was the Imperial Hotel. Number 5, it was burned down, the Grand Pier was burned down in 2008, not 2009 as we put on the screen. And Roald Dahl, number 6, yes, he did live in Weston, but only for 4 years as a child. Apparently, he was at school in Wales, and like all naughty boys, he got up to mischief, and he and some friends put a dead mouse in a jar of gobstoppers in the little shop there. So his parents moved him to Weston, to St. Peter's, the same school, prep school that John Cleese went to. But he was there only 4 years. At age 13, he moved up to Derbyshire. Interestingly, in his autobiography, he called Weston a slightly seedy seaside resort. So there you go. Thank you, Richard. Susan?
Can I just say something about Rupert Graves, actually? Rupert Graves' mum, Mary, was a member of Bristol Opera Company with me when I first joined. And Rupert actually, before he became famous, appeared on stage with me in one of the operas that I sang in. And his father, Richard Graves, was a composer, and he wrote a song for children called Little Lamb. And Little Lamb was the very first song that I learnt and sang in an Eisteddfod many, many, many moons ago. And so I have a great sort of link with the Graves family. And so Rupert has had a fantastic career, but that's just a little aside.
Well done. Thank you, Susan. Thank you for that.
It's just a little few things that we found out about candy floss and ice cream, neither of which I like, to be honest. Candy floss is too sweet, and ice cream, I just don't know why it is, but I don't like it. But I'm sure most of you would have an ice cream if you were going to the seaside. So I'll start off with candy floss. And candy floss, as you probably know, is sugar that's spun with air. It can also be called cotton candy or fairy floss. It's spun in machines, and when it's spun, a small amount of sugar creates a much larger serving. It's why when you put it in your mouth, it just sort of dissolves, doesn't it? Because it's mostly air. And you either get it on a stick, which we had when we were children, or nowadays you tend to get it in a bag. And sometimes they make it with put food colouring in. And apart from getting something like this at the seaside, it's more common in places like fairs and circuses. And candy floss was first made in Europe in the 18th century. At that time, spun sugar was very expensive. The average person couldn't afford it at all. Machines to make the sugar spin were invented in 1897 by somebody called William Morrison and John Wharton. They introduced it at the World's Fair in 1904 under the name Fairy Floss, and it was very successful. They sold 68,655 boxes at 25 cents a box. So that was the beginning of the candy floss. And now we come to the ice cream. Are you going to put up some pictures, I think, Richard? Yeah? Oh, yeah. This looks like one of my grandchildren. And I don't know if any of you know it, but one ice cream cone can be finished in 50 licks. The largest producer and consumer of ice cream in the world is the United States. 90% of American households eats ice cream. And the most famous types of ice cream are gelato, Neapolitan, sorbet, stick and cone. It goes back to the Roman Emperor Nero, who adored ice cream, and he established large chains of runners who brought fresh ice from the mountain to Rome, the biggest city. Marco Polo introduced Europe to the milk-based ice cream in the late 13th century, so it's been going a long time. And the first ice cream cone was created during the 1904 World Fair in St. Louis. The legends say that Charles I of England ordered beheading of a chef who was blamed for releasing into public the secret recipe of the king's favourite ice cream. And the last fact is 12 gallons of milk can produce only 1 gallon of ice cream. So enjoy it. I think some of you have had ice creams today, so I hope you enjoyed them. Okay. Now we're going to play the knife, fork and spoon game. Also known as the bucket, spade and fish slice, or something similar. But I don't know if any of you have played the knife, fork and spoon game, and it's quite easy. I've got these 3 things in front of me, as you can see. I will count to 3, and I want you to pick up one of them and just show it on your screen. So just pick up, a spade. I don't know, Richard and Val, are you able to do scores?
Yeah, we could do that.
I can't see everybody on my screen.
No, we can see everybody.
Okay, so usually it's the best of 10, but you stop it whenever you like. Okay, right. So does everybody sort of get the hang of it? Yeah.
Have a trial run first.
Let's have a trial run first. Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Oh, bucket.
Bucket.
So anybody who's got a bucket or the equivalent.
Yeah,
No,
that was just a
trial.
We'll score from now.
A trial. Start properly. Right. 1, 2, 3. Reg, are you not playing this?
Spade. So we got.
It's a spade.
Hold them up. I've got to
keep them up. If you've got anything other than a spade or your spoon, put them down.
Christine.
Christine.
Oh, and Roger.
Roger.
Okay, thank you.
That's a big space you've got there, Christine. Make sure you don't knock yourself out with it. Right. 1, 2, 3. Anybody that's got anything other than a spade, put it down so that Richard can count the ones that have got a spade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, right. 1, 2, 3.
A bucket again. Right, Linda.
1, 2, 3.
Fish slice.
I'll come up with
Right,
the scores by
we'll
the
work
end.
out the scores.
Okay.
We'll come back to you.
Well done, everybody.
Okay.
Oh, yum! Fish and chips. I like green bananas and pink ice cream. Wobbly jelly makes me scream. Mum's hamburgers are pretty cool, but I like fish and chips best of all. Fish and chips, yeah, fish and chips make me want to lick my lips. Eat them for breakfast, lunch and tea. Fish and chips are for me. I like peanut butter on my bread. Maybe Marmite and honey instead. I like spaghetti and Cocoa Pops, but fish and chips are the tops. Fish and chips, yeah, fish and chips make me want to lick my lips. Eat them for breakfast, lunch and tea. Fish and chips are for me.
Ah, fish and chips. There's nothing more British than fish and chips. Freshly cooked, piping hot, fish and chips, smothered in salt and soused with vinegar, wrapped in newspaper and eaten out of doors in sunshine and rain. It simply can't be beaten. So, how and where did this quintessentially British dish come about? The potato is thought to have been brought here by Sir Walter Raleigh from the New World in the 17th century, although it is believed the fried potato was invented by the French. Both Lancashire and London stake claim to being the first to invent this famous meal. Chips were a cheap staple food in the industrial north, whilst fried fish was introduced in London's East End. In 1839, Charles Dickens even refers to fried fish warehouse in his novel of Oliver Twist. The first fish and chip shop in the north of England is thought to have opened in Mossley, near Oldham, Lancashire, around 1863. Mr. Lees sold fish and chips from a wooden hut originally in the market and later transferred his business to a permanent shop across the road. An inscription on the window says, "This is the first fish and chip shop in the world." However, in London, Joseph Marlin opened a fish and chip shop in Cleveland Street within the sound of Bow Bells in 1860. His fish was cooked in the Jewish style. And this is a photograph of the fish and chip shop as it is today. Fish and chip shops were small family businesses, often run from the front room of a house, and were commonplace by the late 19th century. Some people say the Industrial Revolution was fueled partly by fish and chips. As steam trawlers were developed, they brought fish from all over the North Atlantic, Iceland and Greenland. The steam railways helped with the fast distribution. In 1928, Harry Ramsden first opened in a wooden hut. 3 years later, it had fitted carpets, oak-panelled walls, chandeliers, and could seat 250 customers. In Guiseley, West Yorkshire, they served 10,000 portions in a day and earned a place in the Guinness Record Book. In 1931, a shop in Bradford had to have a doorman to control the long queue waiting outside. During both World Wars, fish and chips were not rationed. They were served in newspaper until the late 1980s, when it was ruled unsafe for food to come into contact with newspaper ink without greaseproof paper in between. So, are they good for us nutritionally? Although they are a high source of protein, fibre, iron, vitamins, providing 1/3 of daily allowance for men and nearly half for women, a small portion of fish and chips is 946 calories with 46.7 grams of fat. And a large portion of fish and chips is 1,649 calories, 79.6 grams of fat. In 1999, the British consumed nearly 300 million servings of fish and chips. There are now 8,500 shops across the UK, 8 shops for every McDonald's. So it is the most favourite takeaway. And then we move to Weston-super-Mare. Oh dear, look, I can see the families there from Summerhill. sitting down and being thrown out of coffins. They had that table over there on the right hand side, but it's no longer, they're sitting there, they've been banished. But for me, the highlight of a day trip to Weston was always stopping to eat fish and chips in coffins. And remember, you had to have bread and butter with it and a cup of tea. Most of the other people in our coach were usually there too. However, some people couldn't wait until tea time to have their fish and chips. The delicious aroma hooked them as they walked near the pier. But, as has been mentioned before, when you're eating fish and chips at any seaside place, please, please beware of the seagulls. Now, wherever a church outing went, whether it was to Weston-super-Mare or to Exmouth or to the garden centre, on the way home there was always a sing-song. All the old songs used to get the songs from World War I, World War II. And I remember at Lawrence Hill for 60 years, we had an organist. And oh gosh, what was his first name? I've forgotten. Bert Jones. And Bert Jones had a wife called Winnie, and Winnie used to run the Sunday school, the very first class in the Sunday school. But Winnie also sang in the church choir. Winnie was the person really who thought she led the church choir. Sadly, her voice wasn't quite up to scratch, but her favourite song coming home was always, "I got a lovely bunch of coconuts. Here they're all standing in a row, big one, small one, some's big red." And then she'd go on, "Roly-poly-poly, roly-poly-poly." Us children used to sit there and laugh and try and mimic her, being very, very naughty. But hopefully that's not going to happen this afternoon. So please enjoy yourself on our homeward journey, and please sing along.
I do like to be beside the seaside. I do like to be beside the sea. I do like to stroll upon the prom, 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 with the brass bands play tiddly om, pom, pom. So just let me be beside the seaside. I'll be beside myself with glee. And there's lots of girls besides. I should like to be beside the seaside, beside the sea. Timothy went to Blackpool for the day last Eastertide, to see what he could see by the side of the sea. Soon he reached the station there. The first thing he espied was the wine lodge door stood open invitingly. To quench his thirst he toddled inside and called out for a wine, which grew to 8 or 9 till his nose began to shine. Said he, "What people see in the sea, I'm sure I failed to see." So he got the train back home again. Then to his wife said he, "Oh, I do like to be beside the seaside. I do like to be beside the sea. I do like to stroll upon the prom, 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 where the brass bands play tiddly om, pom, pom. So just let me be beside the seaside. I'll be beside myself with glee. And there's lots of girls besides. I should like to be beside the seaside, beside the sea."
week or two. Fun and laughter on a summer holiday. No more worries for me or you for a week or two. We're going where the sun shines brightly. We're going where the sea is blue. We've seen it in the movies. Now let's see if it's true. Everybody has a summer holiday, doing things they always wanted to. So we're going on a summer holiday to make our dreams come true. For me and you.
She'll be coming round the mountain when she comes. She'll be coming round the mountain when she comes. She'll be coming round the mountain, coming round the mountain, coming round the mountain when she comes. Singing aye, aye, yippee, yippee, aye. Singing aye, aye, yippee, yippee, aye. Singing aye, aye, yippee, aye, aye, yippee, aye, aye, yippee, yippee, aye. She'll be driving 6 white horses when she comes. She'll be driving 6 white horses when she comes. She'll be driving 6 white horses, driving 6 white horses, driving 6 white horses when she comes. Singing aye, aye, yippee, yippee, aye. Singing aye, aye, yippee, yippee, aye. Singing aye, aye, yippee, aye, aye, yippee, aye, aye, yippee, yippee, aye. Oh, we'll all go out and meet her when she comes. Oh, we'll all go out and meet her when she comes. Oh, we'll all go out and meet her. All go out and meet her. All go out and meet her when she comes. Singing aye, aye, yippee, yippee, aye. Singing aye, aye, yippee, yippee, aye. Singing aye, aye, yippee, aye, aye, yippee, aye, aye, yippee, yippee, aye. She'll be wearing pink pajamas when she comes. She'll be wearing pink pajamas when she comes. She'll be wearing pink pajamas, wearing pink pajamas, wearing pink pajamas when she comes. Singing aye, aye, yippee, yippee, aye. Singing aye, aye, yippee, yippee, aye. Singing aye, aye, yippee, aye, aye, yippee, aye, aye, yippee, yippee, aye. She will have to sleep with Grandma when she comes. She will have to sleep with Grandma when she comes. She will have to sleep with Grandma, have to sleep with Grandma, have to sleep with Grandma when she comes. Singing aye, aye, yippee, yippee, aye. Singing aye, aye, yippee, yippee, aye. Singing aye, aye, yippee, aye, aye, yippee, aye, aye, yippee, yippee, aye.
Well, the wife, she broke her ankle when she tumbled off the bike, leaving me to do the housework, a job I never liked. And doing the weekly shopping seemed a dreadful chore to me, till I discovered little dee-aldi, little dee-aldi, little dee-dee. Now I just can't wait for Thursdays when the specials go on view. I'm the first man to the trolleys, I'm the first man in the queue. For now I know what women mean about retail therapy. It's little dee-aldi, little dee-aldi, little dee-aldi, little dee-dee. It's angle grinders and black puddings and a pot of German jam, a lump of hairy bacon and a wetsuit from Japan, and a pack of streaky rashers, a crate of Russian stout, and a portable generator just in case the lights go out. Alloy wheels and windscreen wipers, and a bag of rooster spuds, an inflatable rubber dinghy to help survive the floods. Spanners, sockets and fish fingers, they're so cheap they're damn near free. At little dee-aldi, little dee-aldi, little dee-aldi, little dee-dee. Now there's welding rods and prime organic beef to make a hearty stew. A hiking staff and spiky boots for climbing Kathmandu. Big heads of curly cabbage to make you eat your fill. Sledgehammers and bananas and a lovely cordless drill. And there's hatchets and hamburgers and there's tins of beans and peas. And a petrol-driven chainsaw for cutting bits of trees. Strimmers, sabre saws and sausages, computers and TVs. At little-de-aldy, 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 little-de-dee. Now the wife has gone ballistic, marriage heading for the rocks. With her crutches and her shopping bag, now she's hobbling round the shops. And she's cut up all me credit cards, I'm sad as sad can be. No more Aldi, little-de, Aldi, no more little-de-dee for me. For the shed is full of plastic shit I didn't really want. And the garden's full of furniture and the house is full of plants. And I'm living in the doghouse, Rover, Fido, Shep and me, because of Aldi, little-de, Aldi, little-de, Aldi, little-de-dee. So no more angle grinders nor black puddings, no more pots of German jam, no lumps of hairy bacon, no more wetsuits from Japan, no packs of streaky rashers, and I'll have to do without another portable generator just in case the lights go out. No high wheels, no windscreen wipers, no bags of rooster spuds, no inflatable rubber dinghies to help survive the floods. For I'm living in the doghouse, I'm as sad can be. No more Aldi, little-de, Aldi, no more little-de for me.
So we hope you enjoyed that last stop at the Irish pub and you enjoyed singing along with Lidley Aldi. The charabanc is almost home, and now as it stops at our final destination, we think we should say thank you for the day.
Before we finish, the scores for the bucket, spade and fish lice thing, they were all really close, and the first person with 6 was Roger, but everyone else got sort of 5s and 4s, so it was a really close call. So well done, Roger.
You will be muted, but you are invited to join in this final prayer with us. Read it to yourselves in the quiet of your own home. Thank you, Father God, for the sea, the sand, and all the plants, animals, birds and fish which live in the marine environment of your created world. We thank you for visits to the seaside, for fun with family and friends, for the enjoyment of sun, sea and sand, or rain, shops and crowded pier, for walks, perhaps a rest in the park or a stroll along the promenade. Thank you for the treats we enjoy on these visits, the ice cream, candy floss, fish and chips. Today especially, we thank you for the gift of technology, which has enabled us to see sights, stir memories, and enjoy them again with our friends, but without the need to travel beyond our own home. We thank you for all your goodness. Amen.